Hi everyone, Nintendo released Switch 2 a while ago, but this console is not for everyone. Why? I'll explain in this video, but let's start with the good things first. So Switch 2 is backward compatible and you can play all your Switch 1 titles without any issue, and it feels more comfortable in hands due to its larger size. Even the buttons are a bit larger, which is a plus point. And Switch 2 seems to have a better build quality than its previous generation with new magnetic mechanism to attach these joycons, which is very satisfying and easy to use. Apart from that, you can use these joycons as a mouse because it has a mouse sensor, and games like Cyberpunk uses this feature, and I believe more games will follow it. And this one has a bigger 8-inch screen with 120 variable refresh rate, and it has two USB ports, one at the top and one at the bottom. And Switch 2 has a micro SD express slot, so you can not use your older micro SD cards with this one. And the dock now has a built-in fan, and it can support 4K output to your television. So apart from this, there are lots of new titles available with Switch 2 at the launch. Now it's time to test some games. So let's try with Mario Rabbids. So as you can see, the screen is significantly bigger and the speakers are a bit clear and louder than the previous generation, and the 120 refresh rate is pretty smooth. So the gaming experience is quite nice on the larger screen, and you can always connect this to your big screen television and enjoy all of these games on a larger screen. So as you can see, the movements are very smooth with this 120 refresh rate. Even the colors are very vibrant and nice. So let's try some other game. Now let's try Mario vs Donkey Kong. This is one of the most popular games on Nintendo platform. So the colors are really good, and the resolution is also because it is full HD on an 8-inch screen. Earlier it was 720p. So Nintendo have lots of these kids friendly games, and most of them have multiplayer options, so you can play with your siblings, your friends and cousins, so it's gonna be a lot of fun. Okay, now let's try Donkey Kong Returns. The graphics on the background aren't so detailed. It looks a little bit low fidelity, so I think this is not looks like a game developed for like the latest console, but Nintendo never focuses on like one of the best graphics. They always prefer a good game so that you can enjoy playing it. So graphics is not the top priority for Nintendo when they develop these kind of games. And these games are very fun to play whenever you are traveling, or you can play them on your TV with your family. So these are very fun to play games. So now let's talk about the disappointing things. So first one is it is really expensive compared to the previous generation when it was launched. Also the games are really expensive now. And if you already own a copy of Switch 1 game and you want to play it on your Switch 2 with better graphics, you have to purchase an upgrade pack for most of the games. The screen in Switch 2 is decent, but it is not as good as an OLED panel in the previous iteration. So the OLED panel is very vibrant with lots of brightness and amazing colors, so you can clearly see the difference. So it seems like Nintendo hasn't updated these joysticks, because in the previous generation there was a major issue of joystick drift, and now time will tell if this one also has that problem. And the battery life on this Switch 2 isn't great. It will last you for 2 to 3 hours with intensive gameplay. So now let's try the Switch 2 on a bigger screen. So now it's time to try the Switch 2 on a 65-inch OLED screen. So let's start with this Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. So if you see, the graphics are decent, but they do not look like the graphics of a latest generation console. So they are decent, but I believe they could have done a better job for the graphics. But Nintendo is not about the graphics, they are mostly about the gameplay. So let's see how the game is. And you can also play this game on a multiplayer option with your family and friends. So let's try. So it is very engaging, and I believe when you will play this with your friends or family, you'll have a great time. Now let's try some other game. Let's try this one.
Here we go.
To be honest, the difference between the Switch 1 and Switch 2 graphics for these kind of games isn't significant. So the gameplay of this game on a bigger screen is much nicer and much smoother. As you can see, the movements of the characters are really good. So now it's time to answer the question why Nintendo Switch 2 is not for everyone. So if you are a Nintendo fan and you enjoy playing first party titles like Mario, Pokemon, Zelda, don't listen to me, go ahead and buy a Switch 2. Because Nintendo is one of the companies who make the most kid friendly games with colorful graphics and local multiplayer options. But if you are looking for a console where you can play graphic intensive games like Call of Duty, God of War, Grand Theft Auto, or Forza Horizon 5, the Switch 2 is not for you. You are better off with a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox. But if you are in the market for a handheld, you also have lots of options like Steam Deck, Asus Ally, Lenovo's Legion Go S with Steam OS. So if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing for more interesting videos, and I will see you in the next one.